worth it if you enjoy it. Michelob Ultra.
Welcome to our Litter Media Special Edition for Fairfield County. Our special guest today is Marketing Director Michael Johnson from the Fairfield County Heritage Association. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's first of all talk about the association and who you represent.
Sure. So FCHA owns and operates two museums here in Lancaster. We operate the Sherman House Museum and the Georgian Museum, and we also operate as the County Historical Society.
Now, for people who have driven through Lancaster, possibly have gone right past these museums but didn't know what they were looking at, tell us where they are.
The Sherman House Museum is located next to the Decorative Arts Center. It's on Main Street. And the Georgian is located on the corner of Broad and Wheeling Street. So both of them are downtown.
Now, the Sherman House, was that where General Sherman was born? Or, what was the story behind that?
Correct. Yes. This is where General Sherman was born and all of his siblings as well, except for one. The oldest one wasn't born here. The oldest one made the trip here from Connecticut on his mother's lap at about 1 year old, or 1 month old, excuse me. So besides him, every Sherman child was born in this house.
And it's been a museum how long?
Well, it's interesting because before it was officially a museum, the owners after the Shermans owned this until about, I want to say 1868. When it changed hands, the owners added on a front portion to the museum, but they would hang up signs as the birthplace of Sherman and would do casual tours and let people in. So it's been functioning as a museum pretty much since the Shermans left. And it was owned at one point by Ohio History Connection. And in the 80s, when they were getting rid of some of their museums and some of the things that they had, they passed it on to us at the Fairfield Heritage Association.
So what's the story behind the Georgian House?
So the Georgian was built in 1832. It's a beautiful mansion. It's one of the finest house museums in Ohio. And it was built for Sarah and Samuel McCracken. And Samuel McCracken at one point was the richest man in Ohio. And he was instrumental in bringing the canal through Lancaster. So without him and without his help of getting the canal through here, I'm not sure what would have happened to Lancaster, or Lancaster probably wouldn't have been the city that it is today. But it's a great house to explore.
So today, as we speak, these two museums are open to the public to come in. Talk about the dates that they're open, what people might see, admission charge and hours and that sort of thing.
Sure. So both museums are open Wednesday through Sunday. There are hourly tours. So the Sherman House, the tours start at noon, 1, 2, and 3. And the Georgian, the tours start at 1, 2, and 3. Prices for adults is $6 to get into a museum, $4 for seniors, $2 for students. You can also buy tickets to both, buy a combo package. We call it the Beauty and Brawn combo package, the Georgian being this beautiful mansion, and the Brawn, of course, being the rugged Civil War museum that we have. And that brings your price down. So instead of $6 for a museum, it's $10 to tour both of them for an adult.
To attend the museum, do you have to make a reservation? This got to be such a thing during, the waning days of the pandemic where you had to, hey, I'm coming, or can you just show up and take the tours?
You can show up as long as it's at the beginning of one of those times. You're more than welcome to show up. Yeah, they adopted that plan of hourly tours during the pandemic because, like you said, that made sense, and that was a way to control the amount of people coming through. But it works really well. You don't have people showing up at multiple times when tours are going on, and you have to interrupt tours or wait. So yeah, you're more than welcome to show up. Just show up at the top of an hour and we'll get you on the tour.
So is there a tour guide that's actually leading you through?
Yes, both houses have a tour guide. We call them docents. They will take you through the home. The Sherman House, they'll take you through the first floor, which is set up pretty much how it would have been when William Sherman was here. And when you get upstairs, they'll show you a couple rooms and then you're on your own. It's self-guided after that. There's a Civil War room. There's a couple Civil War rooms with artifacts and different things that they'll be there for you if you have questions, but it's self-guided at that point.
So there are a lot of Civil War, what we would refer to as souvenirs from General Sherman himself.
Yes, we do have items from General Sherman here. His family has been really gracious as well throughout the years to give items for us to display here in the museum. So we have things like his foot locker, some desks that he used, just a lot of items, furniture.
Now, later in life, did he ever visit Lancaster to your knowledge?
He did. He had an interesting relationship with Lancaster. His stepfather, or his foster father, I should say, was Thomas Ewing. And Thomas Ewing was a senator, very powerful person. And, William's father died at age 9. So he was sent to live with Thomas Ewing, adopted him. And he felt if he was here in Lancaster, he'd always be under the shadow of this great Senator Thomas Ewing, and he wanted to make it on his own. But yeah, he did. He had a lot of affinity for Lancaster, and he does come back throughout history and give speeches and such, and always well received.
I know of Mr. Ewing because of this, one of the schools was named after him, but I think Sherman might have surpassed him in many ways as far as a lot of people are recollecting that name.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about the shadow part anymore. Yeah, definitely. In both our junior highs, we have one junior high that's Thomas Ewing, and the other one is General Sherman.
You sent me some notes before our interview, and I guess there's a replica statue of General Sherman that's it's inside or outside the home?
It's inside the home. There's the statue, if people are familiar with, in downtown Lancaster. We have a statue of General Sherman that's in our town square. The artist who sculpted that had an exact replica that he made of fiberglass. So I think it's one of those things where you go through the process.
Yeah.
And he had a fiberglass copy of it. And he said, "I need room in the space. It's yours if you want to purchase it." And we said, "Absolutely." The people in the community helped raise us the money so that we could buy it. And it's here in the museum. And since it's fiberglass, it can be inside. It's not, overly heavy. But it's actually behind me. I don't know if you can see.
I can. Yeah.
Tough to see how big it is because it looks small right here. What here?
Yeah. That's the actual statue that he's talking about there. Yeah, he's a good 7.5 feet or 8 feet tall, looks like.
Yeah, that's the trick the sculptor told us was you never make it life size, because life size statues never feel life size when you're on them. You always make them about 25% larger than they actually are. So yeah, and we set up a little photo contest. So tour goers can get a selfie with Sherman, post it on Facebook, Instagram. And we're going to pick a photo each month to get, some free merchandise from the museum.
Something else we wanted to talk about is that you have a Civil War roundtable that I believe is on Wednesday nights.
Yes, Wednesday nights, and that's held right here in the Sherman House. It's only $5 to get in, and that money goes towards the Sherman House Museum. And it's just every month it's an interesting story from the Civil War era. Sometimes it's focused on one battle, sometimes it's focused on one moment. And sometimes we've had garden speakers who talk about the plants and the herbs and different things during that time period. So it's really a neat discussion that takes place. And it takes place every month here at the Sherman House. And I'll be doing the next one.
Which is when this interview first plays, it's this evening. And what's the feature?
So this one is called The Final Ride for the Fairfield 5. And this was an article that I wrote for our quarterly magazine. If you're a member of the Heritage Association, you receive a magazine 4 times a year. And in it is normally a local history story. And this one was the final ride for the Fairfield Five. It was about 5 men who go to the Civil War. They survive the entire war. 4 of them sign up in 1861 when the war begins. They survive all 4 years, but die on the way home.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a tragic story.
It's really tragic. And I said, in war, it's easy to find tragic stories, but this one just is another level because it's over for them. They did it. They survived. You know, the families are waiting. Most families had their homes decorated patriotically. They're waiting for their families, and they get the remains back of these 5 men.
Were they there were accidents of some type, or?
It was a train accident.
Oh my.
That took place. It was by Pataskala.
Yeah. Amazing. Now,
So
the Civil War Roundtable, is it the same Wednesday each month? It's once a month, correct?
Yes, about the 3rd Wednesday of
And
each
it's
month.
at 7 p.m.?
7 p.m. here at the museum. You don't have to sign up or anything. You just show up with $5 and they'll let you in.
That sounds great. Also, you wanted to talk about the tour of homes.
Yeah, the tour of homes finally is back. This is something that they've done for years here. In fact, this is the 52nd one. And this is something that it takes place over a weekend. So you have 2 days to do it. This one will be in June 24th and June 25th. And they just take about a dozen properties here around the city. And sometimes we go outside to Baltimore and different things, but this one is going to be in Lancaster. And it's a mix of private homes and public buildings. And you get to tour them, and some of them have historical significance. Some of them are significant for other reasons. So we have a house this time where it's owned by an artist. And during the pandemic, when nothing was going on, nothing was happening, she turned all of her walls into murals. So from her upstairs to her basement, it's like walking into another world. It's amazing. And then we have public buildings as well, a beautiful St. Mary's Church and Allen Chapel, 2 of our oldest churches here. So it's just it's a great thing. And we haven't been able to do it since 2019 because of the pandemic. So this is the first time in several years.
You may have alluded to this. I can't recall opening a new exhibit for Fairfield County history in the Georgian Museum.
Yeah, so this is really exciting. In the lower level of the Georgian, we are going to have a Fairfield County history room. And we have the cabinets have just been put in and the electrical has just been put in. And we're going to take you from the glaciers to Chief Tarhee and the Wyandotte presence all the way through the first white settlers. And you're just going to walk through this timeline of Fairfield County and each township and how it was formed and some of the industry. And it's going to be a really interesting thing. We're going to have some interactive things and some iPads, and it's going to be fun. So we're hoping to have that open this summer.
Michael, do you have a website, a Facebook page you want to draw people to?
Or absolutely. They can follow us on social media. We are on Facebook and we're on Instagram, or you can go to the website, which is fairfieldheritage.com. And on the website, you can get tickets in advance if you want to. Like I said, it's not necessary, but you can buy them in advance. You can also shop online as well.
Michael, we appreciate your taking time to be with us. Maybe we can hook up again sometime later this year for some events in the late summer, early fall.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
Special guest today, Marketing Director Michael Johnson of the Fairfield County Heritage Association. He's been our guest today on Litter Media's special edition for Fairfield County. I'm Mike Smith.